Welcome to Blazing Balls, May 3rd, 2023. This is the Blazing Baseball After Show / After Hours, where we blaze through today's other sports ball topics.
Blazing Sports.
And so one of the topics we've been kind of neglecting is XFL, which I've kind of dabbled a little bit into. Well, we have talked about a little bit of XFL and
I was watching a couple of the games.
how they're definitely, I feel like their rules are better because, for instance, I think the main thing I like about XFL now that the NFL could implement, definitely the kicking the kicking rule for the health and safety of players, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that if there's a challenge, we go and the guy that's making the decision talks to the camera about what he's thinking and what he's going to call his conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like that NFL should take that idea too, because we get terrible calls and we don't get an explanation for it, and we think sometimes they're just terrible bad calls, and if they're explaining it, then maybe we'll understand more, or we'll definitely understand that there's more transparency, basically.
Yes.
There's not like this black box
Right.
of like what's going to happen. It's
more
like,
insight.
It's more insight, yeah.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
But the ref's got to be good.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get a bad ref and he starts babbling about a bad call and he makes a bad review, it wouldn't go well. They have to make the right decisions.
Mm-hmm.
They have to make the right decisions and be correct.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing.
Yes.
Like, I feel like if
that's the exposure,
and the XFL was reviewing this and making bad calls, I feel like we would hear about it. Like, he would probably the fans would be like, "Hey, we need to replace this guy, because he's making these calls and they're not right."
Yeah,
and he's done the whole season. And from what I listened to him, every single time he would explain, I was like, "Oh, that makes perfect sense of what he just said." So, there can be a better way to ref the game.
Well, that's real-time review.
Mm-hmm.
So you can hear what the ref is thinking,
mm-hmm.
which we don't get that in the NFL.
Right, in NFL, it goes to New York, and then they're like, "Oh, we're going to pay you this much if you do this call." Maybe, allegedly, it could happen. We don't know, because we don't see the cameras.
You know, that's a whole nother issue. When you talk about gambling in pro sports, I'm amazed.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're putting up advertising to gamble on the games at the games,
mm-hmm.
which to me, there's going to be some type of influence on the refs in all sports that are gambled and bet on. There's got to be some refs that are trying to get influenced by some gamblers.
Mm-hmm.
It's just human nature.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but I like the idea that they're making the calls live.
Mm-hmm.
And you can hear what they're thinking about making the call and during the review, and then you got the facts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good thing for the NFL to look at.
Yes, and so the XFL, the championship, is going to be the Arlington Renegades versus the DC Defenders, Saturday, May 13th at 7 Central Time in the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas.
And you played there.
I played there
for Lake Travis
multiple
football,
times.
Yeah, for the playoffs. So it's the Renegades against the Defenders. All right. So I love their names.
Oh yeah, they're cool names.
Yeah. Very good.
So yeah, so basically the Arlington Renegades fans were upset because they had a losing season and they still made the playoffs, but it was the two top teams on each division side. Yeah. So it's fair. It makes sense. And they beat the Houston Roughnecks, which they weren't supposed. That was the upset.
Yeah,
Houston Roughnecks had a good record. Their Renegades are led by Bob Stoops.
From Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Oklahoma's ex-head coach.
DC Defenders also has a good coach, but they have been the best team the whole season for XFL. So it's definitely going to be. They're probably the favorite, but they're also going to be in Texas. So San Antonio is home to the Brahams.
All right.
Brahams.
Yeah.
So
awesome. Yeah. It's fun.
I don't know. It's in Texas too, so it kind of feels like more home advantage for Arlington.
Yeah.
So
my question is, are these players going to switch over and get into the NFL? Are they going
They
to try
could.
out? Yeah.
Mhm.
They want to get back into the NFL and make more money.
Yeah,
So
and
yeah, for sure. That I think it's really good for the players because
yeah,
they have that. They didn't make the NFL for some reason, but they have a league to play in.
mhm.
They can earn a living, but they also have a shot at getting back to the NFL or enter into the NFL where they can make a lot more money and have a good lifestyle.
Yep.
Nice life.
And that's why the XFL is here to stay now because they even said that they are like partnered with the NFL to try to make the
Affiliated.
rules better.
Yes.
And it's
Uh-huh.
owned by The Rock now, so they have a huge
Oh, guess
owner
what? The
that
Rock
can
is cooking.
put money into this whenever he wants, and
Yeah.
it's gonna eventually make money. And yeah, they were saying even during the NFL draft there was some players. I think one of them was in Arlington. And there's another player too that was also eligible for the drafts. So
Yeah.
it's a whole new thing that's going
Well,
on.
that's wonderful because
Mhm.
that just gives more players an opportunity to prove themselves on the
Mhm.
field and have a chance to be, uh, to make it into the NFL. So I think that's
Mhm.
all good, and it gives the other players that maybe aren't good enough to make it in the NFL, it still gives them a career path where they can play and they can earn a living.
Yeah, it was fun
Uh-huh.
watching. As what I mentioned earlier, like Josh Gordon. He was playing for the Seattle Sea Dragons, and it was fun to see him play because he was banned for stuff in the NFL. I
Uh,
like I think some of the bans were for just marijuana, so he got a rough shake. It kind of feels like
yeah, that's
in
not
the
good.
NFL. Yeah.
Yeah, no, shouldn't happen for that.
All right, so in the NBA world, and also yeah, so there's no new news for the golf or for soccer, but
Right. The Wells Fargo Championship in Charlotte, North Carolina. They have practice today and they'll be kicking off tomorrow, first round.
yep. And so yesterday, the Knicks beat the Heat 111 to 105 to tie up
Go,
the series
go
1-1.
Knicks.
Go Knicks!
Yeah, we were watching.
Yeah, it was a good game.
Mhm.
It went really long. I felt like
Well, they won by 6 points.
four.
Ev- for-
Sorry, yeah, 6 points.
6 points, and the series is tied 1-1.
Mhm. And
And
then after
where do they play next, though? Do they play at the Garden or they go back to the Heat? They're gonna go
back
to
in
the Heat.
Miami,
They're going back to Miami.
and so
Okay.
then the Lakers and the Warriors played after that game. It was in Warriorland, San Francisco, and the Lakers won 117 to 112.
They won by 5 points. Lakers are getting hot.
Yes. And so tomorrow, then today, the 76ers will play the Celtics for game number 2. And then tomorrow, the Lakers will play Warriors for game number 2.
All right.
And any other sports topics you want to go over today?
Well, it says
Oh,
here.
yes. We have a Jets update. We have Randall Cobb to join the Jets, reunite with Aaron Rodgers, according to, sorry if I mispronounced the name of this podcast, Rich Samini from ESPN. So he was a former Green Bay Packers wideout. And
Yep.
once again, I feel like the Jets are making the move that the Packers should have made years ago when they had Aaron Rodgers, just try to give him weapons.
Giving some wide receivers, which is always good for a quarterback, of course. But this is good for Aaron Rodgers because he's getting his receiver back that he knows, and he knows how to throw to him. They get connected. I mean, if you think of Tom Brady with Gronkowski,
Mhm.
they won
Randy Moss.
7 Super Bowls. I mean, you think about it and Randy Moss. That's right. Those guys were connected, man. He knew where to throw it because he knew where he was going.
Mhm.
It made a big difference in the playoffs. I think during the regular season, it's all good. But in the playoffs, that's where that connection shines. That's what makes the difference and makes the big plays and wins the Super Bowl.
Mhm.
So that was a really good thing for the Jets, Aaron Rodgers, and Randall Cole.
Cobb.
There you go. COBB.
Oh yeah, and also in NFL news, some days ago, there was 3 Lions players that got a suspension for gambling.
Uh-oh.
They couldn't gamble apparently in their own facility on other major league sports because apparently they couldn't even bet on other sports before, but now they can with these new rules, but they can't do it in their own
stadium.
facility.
So they did FanDuel inside their facility and got suspended. But
Yeah, probably.
I don't think. See, the gambling thing's kind of out of control now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it because there's going to be influence on refs somewhere, or even a player, which is something could be negative from this. Anyway, I'm a little worried about it. I hope sports keeps the gambling out of the players and the refs.
Well,
and the umpires.
We kind of, with the suspension, it kind of shows that there's some kind of like a gray line that they're still trying to figure out.
Well, that's good then. They're figuring out the rules and making sure that no one does anything that's inappropriate.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yep.
Keep it straight up, keep it simple, and keep it fair.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I think it can be fair. I think the legalization is good for states.
Well, they had to do it.
Yeah,
it's freedom of speech. It's like that. It's kind of like that. So they had to do it, but they do have to regulate it to make sure that it's not an influence in the games.
Yeah, I think the regulation is good than it being illegal black market activity.
Strict. It's strict.
Yeah. And any other sports ball topics you want to cover today?
There's a lot of baseball tonight besides with the basketball.
Do you want to go over a trivia since we didn't go over one on?
Oh, we missed the trivia. Yeah. Haddix pitches a 12 perfect inning game. Harvey Haddix of the Pittsburgh Pirates pitched 12 perfect innings against Milwaukee on May 26, 1959 at County Stadium, only to end up a 1-0 one-hit loser to the Braves in 13 innings.
Wow.
What a story.
Yeah.
This guy pitches a perfect game for 12 innings. His team don't get him one run, and then he gives up one hit. That's a homer, and he loses the game 1-0 in the 13th inning.
He must have felt so frustrated.
He was frustrated. But there you go. Harvey Haddix, a real trooper, pitched 12 perfect innings. Yep. It's pretty amazing.
Yep. And we'll catch you all here tomorrow on Blazing Baseball, blazing through tomorrow's baseball topics, and here on Blazing Balls, blazing through tomorrow's other sports ball topics. Peace.
Blazing Sports.